Today we're covering JavaScript and how JavaScript is used in Rails. And there's some notes for you to read, but if you're not familiar with JavaScript, definitely go and learn JavaScript by yourself. Just read some beginner tutorial stuff. W3 Schools is a good place. So JavaScript. I search it's surprising to you, but actually pretty good. Just follow the tutorial here. It's a little bit related to the front-end JavaScript, which is dealing with the DOM elements. Who here knows DOM? Come on, all hands. You don't know DOM? Do you know DOM? What is DOM?
Document Object Model.
Document Object Model. So it's sort of HTML. It's not a programming language, but it's a markup language where you have all these tags, and then we have this DOM API. It's a way for you to access these nodes. HTML is like a tree, right? HTML and then head and body, and inside there's some sub nodes, the children node, right? So ignore XML, similar to HTML, but just more flexible, at the same time stricter. But it's not. It's for structuring documents. So this is now used under your Excel file and the new Excel and Doc. Then they also compress it. But we're concerned about HTML. HTML, what we have is like this. What we learned so far is that we know HTML. It looks like it's just we actually use doc type HTML. So that's HTML5. And then in here, let's say we have a body tag, right? And that's it. That's the structure we use with Rails. It generates a very simple HTML type, and then up when you run it, why is it red? I don't know. And then when you want to add JavaScript and stuff, right? You add that in the head. So that's all clear now, right? For JavaScript, it's quite cool. You can follow this tutorial as much as you can in your own time. It's quite fun. So, for example, if you click on try it yourself, that structure again, and then we learned that okay, this is using the DOM API. Document as a document global variable, and then it provide you this function. You can say get element by ID. So the ID is here. So when you click here, right, and then it set the HTML to this JavaScript function date. So the JavaScript you learn on this page is mostly front-end JavaScript, DOM-related JavaScript. If you take the Node.js class, you have to learn. You actually get to learn the more powerful overall features of JavaScript. Backend JavaScript, mainly taking advantage of the callback, the asynchronous I/O programming pattern. So we use a little bit, but the focus here, just focus on how to make JavaScript make our page perform, look better and have animation and faster. Okay, so how do we have JavaScript? Take any page. You see, you can add the script tag. I will show that, but again, do this on your own, and then some of this stuff, I assume that you already know it. I will just use it in our project. Okay. So, a fresh Rails 5.02. Rails 5.1 is going out soon. It's in beta, and it will use a different asset management tool. Optional. You can use Yarn, which now manage the front end stuff and make your Rails app play nicer with Angular, React.js, and all this stuff. So let's look at the most important thing you should know is the inspector console or developer tool. So in Safari, you have to enable a developer tool. In Chrome, you get to do right click and then just inspect. So you can choose it to be at any location to dock it, right? The most common location is here. And then the most two common tabs you use is console and elements. By now, I hope most of you know the elements tab, right? Just click and then you can click on an element there. Console is where the magic happens. You click on this guy, click on it, that's element, right? In console, if you do $0, that's the element you just click, right? Selected. So it's kind of nice. You get it just as a variable. It's like selected. But how can you also get this guy? You can say document find something, get element by, you can say by name or tag name. So let's say if I add by tag name h1, then you have this guy, and you can say inner HTML equals to that, and it doesn't change because I probably mistyped inner HTML. What happened? A inner. Oh, I'm not sure why.
Get element by class, right?
It's now hello. Where's that hello? Is it the same guy? So if I do it by ID, then it should be the same as this, right? That's kind of weird. I'm doing the same thing here. Anyway, we will inspect that later. Or I can also try this.
Actually, it's not
In the? You want it to be in the text? Well, it should be it should be the same. Correct, but it's jQuery call this method. So let's say this is, and then you can call inner HTML. This actually works, but the other one, I think, not sure why. This API call, I think it returns an array. So if I take the first element,
0, yeah.
then I do inner HTML, then it changed. So we just learned something. Get elements by tag name actually return only an array, right? So by ID, an ID on the page, you assume there's only one ID. So you use ID for quick lookup. It's like an index, right? Class name is mainly for styling, but sometimes you can use this to get all the elements of the same class name, so you can update all of them. These things you don't use as much. Name is an attribute as well. When you do input type text name email, when you submit, it submit to params email. Remember that? You don't need to remember any of this code because we have something called jQuery, right? And in your Rails app, so let's look at the Rails app. How does it work? In your head file, remember, again, if it's not clear, go back to this and then follow all the tutorial. But in your head file, this is what Rails give you. In production, all of this will be combined into one, and then you have an application.css. And then you see all this string because that's a unique hash, right? So when you push to the server, it's cached. If you don't make changes, next time you load the same, this file, it's remembered to cache. It's like forever, because it's guaranteed to be the same content. Some other website like WordPress and stuff, you have like application.js or .css. But if you don't have the fingerprint, sometimes people have the question mark and then you add the fingerprint at the end, so you know when to not cache. So cache prevent you from, for you to talk to the server, asking the server how much work that you do, right? If it's not cached, the server will go to controller and actually get all, trying to serve the data back to you. But if it's cached, the server, the outsidemost layer can return the data, depending on the caching mechanism. Even better, some browser, you can also have the mode that it caches in the browser, so you don't have to make a request. In all of this though, it goes to the server, and there's an expiration date for these files. Okay, but in localhost, if you click on this file, right now it's only what you put in it. In your Rails app, nothing. Because remember, this file you just include other guys. So don't put all this JavaScript in here underneath, but put it in another file and then make this a meta file. Just keep it simple, keep it a good convention. But then anything you require will show up in order. jQuery, blah, blah. This is in development mode. In production, everything is one file. Make sense? Now, there's a jQuery thing. In Rails 5, you can start 5.1. You can start dropping jQuery. But our Rails 5.0.2 and earlier, you have to have jQuery because jQuery, you have include jQuery and then jQuery UJS. This UJS, it's unobtrusive JavaScript. Who here knows what unobtrusive JavaScript means? Unobtrusive means you're not trying to interfere. So your code HTML is all there. My JavaScript code is not inside your HTML. I'm outside. And if you don't include me, you still work. But if you include me, it's better. So that's unobtrusive. So it's sort of slowly incremental development. Some people write code with immediately, it can only work if you have JavaScript turned on, which is fine because nowadays everyone has JavaScript, right? But in the past, not really, right? So unobtrusive JavaScript is not as popular anymore, but it makes design a little bit easier, similar to CSS, unobtrusive CSS. Put it in a different file, right? All right, so this file, UJS, it uses jQuery to find your element, and then it can support things like, who here use, so you use link to, logout, delete, a method delete, right? A link cannot submit or delete, but you can have method delete. Then this file, that's why if your JavaScript fail, your logout doesn't work, right? This file will override that and say, oh, if you click on this link, it's a click listener, let's send a delete request to the server. Make sense? Normally only a form can send a non-get request. So in Anchor, you can only send get. But with this, so you can use method delete, method post. Who here use remote? Not yet, we're learning this week. Link to remote, form to remote, form tag or form with. When you say remote true, it doesn't load the page, it just submit an AJAX request using JavaScript, and then the server can return you JavaScript so you can run and update your page. That's why pages like Facebook and all that fast, right? Without reloading, you can anywhere. There's some other things in here, that like disable with. I'm sure some of you have tried it. If you click a button, when you do a button and then you say disable with loading, it means when you click on a button, it changes the text to loading. And this file is also very useful. When you click on a button, you see it disable the button, right? You cannot double click. In the past, it's very common. People build web application. Even a user sign up. A user will see a button and click twice. What happens? 2 user accounts created. So sometimes you log in, it finds this user account. Sometimes you log out, you log in, it finds another. And you're like, where is my documents? I created it and then it's gone. Because some systems really badly written. It doesn't validate the uniqueness of the email, and it just finds the latest email. It happens all the time. So with a lot of good practice in here, this file is very nice. And in Rails 5.1, they now write it without jQuery, using the DOM API that I just said, right? It's like .get element by ID and all these calls, pure JavaScript. The reason the web needed jQuery a few years ago, because every browser have different API sometimes, and you need jQuery, so it's all the same and the syntax is better. But now that the API is more or less the same and consistent, you can just use the direct call. Okay? But to be honest, let's just use jQuery and make our learning better, faster. Same with Bootstrap, right? Use Bootstrap and make it faster. Okay, so that's jQuery. You see this, it's a constant. It also shortened as this $, and you can use it to select things. So you can say anything in this string is a selector, CSS selector or DOM selectors. So you can find h1, there's only one h1, but if there's an ID, then you can say, if you put an ID, it can find it, right? Any question about jQuery? No. TurboLinks is a Rails style. When you click, it's a bit crazy, but so the first thing you need to do is, as a reading homework, working with JavaScript. So I will provide this in the recap. Okay, so you have to read this. Basically, it's say, hey, here's how JavaScript is used in Rails. When you say JavaScript, you see Ajax is a lot. Asynchronous means, right, it's like not, asynchronous means, who can explain it better? Not synchronous. So synchronous means, let's say united together, like, we're going to go out of this classroom. I'm just gonna wait for you. We walk out together. Synchronous. Or like you wait for me, go through the door, and then I go through the door. Very polite. But asynchronous means it's your job, it's my job. Whoever can go out whenever. Same thing with JavaScript call, right? Asynchronous, JavaScript, and then I forgot what's the. Yeah. Okay.
X stands for XML.
What?
And XCML.
Yeah. So
HTML.
I am. Sometimes when you're like talking in public, you totally forget. Yeah, JavaScript and XML. It's just becoming a term that you don't really, care what it.
But Agile sounds better. Sounds worse.
Agile, yeah. So the idea is then, instead of clicking on a button and then the page load, you can do things like making an Ajax call to a URL, and then when it returns, here is an HTML request. Then you can take this HTML and then you can put in your page. So it looks like this. So now you understand, right? Let's say there's a result tag on your page, pound results. Then you can append this extra thing. We'll do that. Okay? Unobtrusive, it's just, It's an API, right? It's just extra, API calls into .ajax. So unobtrusive means, I already explained, you can do a lot of things with onClick and you can write JavaScript within it. Like this is the element A here, and then this .style, .background color, you can do CSS functions in it. But to be non-obtrusive, then you have to write all of this out in a separate JavaScript file, similar to CSS. So you can do something like this, and unfortunately, Rails continued to use CoffeeScript, which I used to love, but now JavaScript is good enough. You took attendance, right? Mark this one as late. So then, if you see this, don't be afraid. You can copy any of this text and then put it in JS to CoffeeScript, or vice versa, converter, if you don't want to learn it. But I encourage you to learn it. It's quite easy anyway, but this is the CoffeeScript style, so if you paste it in here, right, it will just convert to JavaScript for you to read. What is it? It's a function syntax that takes 3 arguments, and then this is like a lambda sign. In Ruby, you have this as well. You just haven't used it. It's a Ruby 1.9 and above. But here you put the argument before the sign, and then you can put the similar JavaScript, but no parentheses, no semicolon, and people love this. And then now, but JavaScript now has a lot of similar function, including the lambda sign here, single arrow and double arrow. Okay, so you see, now you can factor it into a function, and you only need to call the function, similar to CSS, right? Okay, so read this, and to understand that, okay, today we're gonna pretty much learn how you can make a form when you submit. It doesn't reload the page. It only asks for what to do, either HTML or JavaScript, and it just use jQuery to update the page. So it's very fast. Imagine if you enter a chat line and it just add the next one, right? Link to remote is the same idea. So let's start our app here. Let's say it's a chat app. Let's implement some chatting. Look at the route file. There's nothing here. Oh wow, I don't think I implemented anything. This is bad. Let's just do that. Controller messages. Should we do a room first? All right. So controller rooms. We have a new action here. So we on home page we will just show. Again, good practices is load all your variable in here, right? And then in here, in the view, welcome. So choose your room, something like that. And then we just do that. This will be room.name, right? So I need rooms.each do room. You can totally do test driven here, but I'm trying to save time. I have a controller, but I forgot the model. So I'm going to destroy the controller. Huh? Yeah? Okay, let's this route too. Sorry. Make it a little shorter. Okay. Generate what? Resource room name. No. Name is a string. What?
You have to RVM use 3.3.1.
Oh. What do I have up here?
It's 2.3.1.
Oh my god. Okay, let's just use this one for now.
Okay, good fun.
Okay, so did I do this? Okay, migrate. Let's double check migration. Hey, for this one, feel free to raise your hand and interrupt. Okay, and ask questions. So this seems straightforward. Rails DB migrate. What's wrong now? I need to create it, huh? Let's look at the error. One thing with all this error, some of you ask and paste error. Never be afraid of this. This is just a stack trace. Go to the top. All right. And then it says something error, rooms already exist and stuff. Okay. So because I practiced it in the past, right? Drop, db create, db migrate. And then, read the top line of the error. And if you're still not clear, sometimes an object is so big, it prints. You just read down, and from the bottom up. Top down, bottom up. Just never be afraid of error. It's an opportunity to learn. So I think I have it migrated. I just do. Okay, I'll code a little faster here. Choose your room. This looks good. Now we need to generate. Let's code up a room anyway. So home index new room. But do we need to link to a new room? Let's just create a new room. Yeah, right here. So you can do form for. Who can spell for me like how to do a new room here? Form for what? So you can do room. Okay, let's just take a shortcut there. So in here we have what? F.text field. That's it, right? Okay, I'm gonna make this page live reload so it's faster for us to iterate. Can't see. Wait, where is it? Okay, it's here. Alright, so any changes, it's like guard. You can actually set up guard. Alright, so I save, name your room. That looks good. Maybe I add a card to it to make it look a little better. That block. Uh-oh, this is so nasty. I told you guys we should do, beautiful designs or whatever. Let's just very quickly. Okay, by now all of this is very clear to you all, right? Okay, so how do you implement this submit rooms controller? Go to create. Again, keep this very simple, right? So keep your controller as simple as possible. Room is what? New, okay. Room params. Def. Private is optional, but you know, very good practice in there. Params dot what? Do you understand why it's a require thing, right? Params, room, and then inside there's a hash. So require, and then you permit name. So if room dot save, then you know, let's go to that room, right? Else flash error. You can do flash and redirect, or you can just say redirect to root back. What's up? Root path. You can also redirect back. Who knows this one? So you can say redirect back, fallback path, something like that. So API. It's like pressing a back button, right? But because it's never guaranteed that you have a. What if the browser history is 0, right? It's nothing. Then you have to pass the fallback action here. Fallback look. So if there's nothing in the history, then I'll just redirect to root path. But I also do maybe flash, make it clear here. Flash error, error, room, full, what, errors, dot full messages. Okay. This is a very lazy way, and let's go to room and let's validate name, presence, true, uniqueness. Okay, where's this page? Is it here? So let's just try it. Where's my flash? Is there a flash message here? No. It's here.
It's
maybe
behind an after.
Again, it may be a behind, right? Let's try again. Create room, and then maybe it's behind that. Very quickly, let's see, flash.
Yep.
Oh, remember the show, yeah? So from past note, so let's see, fade in here, down here. Okay, change it to show. Bootstrap 5 and 6. This little. All right, cool. Let's go into a room. What happens when you go into a chat room? Let's talk. Yeah. So it's in the show rooms controller show action. Okay, so we need show action. Hey, if you're, it's still pretty easy, right? I want this to be interactive. All of us, participate. So if it's not clear, make sure you ask. I create a show.html.erb file. Okay. So right now we go into this room, and what is the room name? Room.name, right? And then we're going to implement chat. So public room, let's say. All right, great. Let's implement chat. So we're gonna load all the messages for that room. Make sense? So let's display that. How do we display it? What kind of format? Maybe just a bunch of list item. Let's say list group item. Let's say message 1, and then we'll just do this. All right, it looks like this. Okay, and then we also do a form. Now, if you only learn HTML, you should by now know this HTML format. Form by default is post. Where should it submit, guys? It will submit to. Well, you tell it where to submit, right? In this case, where should it submit? Itself. It's a show action. So let's say now it's room 1. It should be like that, right? Where should it submit? Maybe I create a new message for this room, so I can go to messages like that. Seems like clean API design. Okay, all nodding your head, right? This one makes sense. How can we support this route? Down here, resources room. Inside we do resources, messages. And again, for this, localhost/rails/info, you can easily find it. You can even find here room messages, and then you can see this is what I want, posting to this room messages create. Excellent. So how do I do this in Ruby? Form 4. What? Form 4. Room and message.new, right? Or you can do this, you can use this one, room messages path post, right? Or you can use this, it's the same, okay? But it's a bit, form 4 room object URL is room messages path room. This is a lot longer, right? That's why Rails make it faster for you to just write this. All right, so this is F. So this line is the same as this line. Clear? Okay. Next, in here, what do we want? F dot label, maybe messages, just message body. Yeah. And message body. So there's a text field. Huh? What? Sender. There's no need. Okay, let's say it's good point. So let's say username. Right? Okay, so let's style this one first. Class is form control, and then you wrap this one in a form group, right? This one, and then you're gonna do the same thing. Username. Is that good? So to do this, you need Rails generate resource. Resource message name, body and username. Both of them are string. Okay. And I forgot one thing. Let's delete. What do I forget, guys? Come on. Yes, correct. I should commit first. So, but that's not why. No, let's say in here. So add room. What do I still forget? Rails generate resource. It's a nested resource, remember? So message room references. That's what I forgot, right? Body. Okay, username body. Okay. So now I have the room ID and the index. As a good practice, I go and check out. Okay, is it what I want? Let's migrate. So then I go back to this thing, and what happens there? The error is some invalid code in it. Yeah. So I remove this form. Close it. I want you to understand this form 4 thing very well, right? Now, room messages. What happens? Why does it complain? I didn't save this file, I think. I put it in here. And I save. Alright, done. Okay. Now this input thing, I want you to understand this one is the same as what? Input element type text name. Here is what? Room, and then up in here is the room ID. So let's say 1, and then in here message, and then down here is body. So it generates this structure. So when you pass in the value, if you type anything in the text field, like hello, right? It will submit this value hello into params room ID and then message stuff. Does it make sense? Well, that's what I think. But actually, sorry, I'm not doing it. Okay, I jump a little bit. You get this if you use fills for, but I haven't taught fill for it. For this one, it's still the same because we're using F is still a message form. So you get this message body. You get what I say earlier if you use fields for, but I'll show you that later. Okay? So just inspect the element here and learn if you're not clear. So this one looks like we can submit a message. Now let's go to room messages controller, create action. Let's implement it. What do you need first? Room, right? So normally you do it as room dot what? Find params ID, because it's a nested resource, right? Remember this one, actually the path is room, and then ID, messages, right? It posts to this. And then get and show tend to be similar things. So this line, you tend to do the same thing, right? Set room, right? It's enough. You could use before action here. I don't like doing it because it's hard to see. Okay, I only use before action for like require user to authenticate user. I like to do set room here. It's very clear in all the lines. Okay. Oh, okay. What next? Message is, now remember we already have the ID. I don't need to pass in the ID here. You could do f dot hidden field and then room ID, and automatically the value is in there. If you edit the form, new, it will still be nil. If you do this, it's the same as passing a value, which is, you know, room ID, sort of this object up here, message.new here, and then it will, let's say if I have this as message, it will pass in the value message.room ID, right? That is under the hood if you do this, okay? Now this, the reason why it works is because f.hidden field, f.object is the same as message. So you can test that. That's why, you know, f.object.room ID is understood. But we don't need this because we have the URL with the room ID in here. So you use room.messages.build instead of new. Okay? I think Rails now allow new, but just don't do it. And same thing with message params. Still follow me, right? Params dot what? Require message dot permit body and username. Yeah?
Can you explain build real quick?
It's built just to make it clear. It comes from this, has many relationships. So this line is the same as message.new, but in here you have room ID is room.id, and then this message params. But it's harder to write, right? And then how do you write this message params? You actually treat this as a hash. This one is a hash, so you write message params dot merge, and then, you know, room ID room.id. That's a lot uglier, right? Okay, so this is a little cleaner. And then if message save, then what do? Redirect to room, right? If not, I guess you can render it, or you also, it's in this case it's always gonna save. Maybe. All right, so I'll just redirect back. Maybe I'll just do that. I copy this line. I'm just being really lazy here, right? And instead of room, it's gonna be message. And then I'm still gonna go back to the message room path. You know, room. This is a show action. Still okay. Back. And then in message, I make sure I validate. This is validated by default. If you don't want it to validate, you do optional true. Okay, so validate name and body. What's it? No, body and username. Presence true. Okay. What else? This message is not defined yet. Go back to message.new. But again, you can also do what? Message.new like that. Just assign a variable if you want. Okay. Body name. Let's put it in action. Part block. Make it easy to see. Okay. And then we need a button, right? I need a button to look like this button.
Can we do button too?
Alright? Huh? Chat? Let's this is so ugly. Form inline maybe. Why implement it? Styling. If you have a better you know, a way to style it, let me know. Type your message, and then this is placeholder, your username. Oh, not good, huh? Something like that. Now in Bootstrap Alpha 6, there's no longer margin between the items. You have to add it manually. Margin right. You can do 1 or 2 or 3. Alright, so it looks like that. Of course, you can also use, if you learn flex, you can do justify flexbox. Space between or something like that. Alright, forget it. It's this inline thing might mess it up. There. So, margin right. Yeah, okay, better. Maybe we want this a lot shorter. You can also use form group and then row, and then in their columns, a grid 8, 2, 1 or something. Okay, let's type a message. Hello, press enter. Alright, what's up? There's no room ID. When there's an error, there's room ID here, so obviously, don't you love error-driven development? This is in messages. Okay, where is it? Set room, right? Makes sense. And then we create that. What else? Undefined, because when I create message, I haven't done has many rooms. No, messages, dependent, destroy. Message params. Message params, is it here? Undefined messages. Uh-oh. That's many messages. Did I save it? Okay, good. So go back to this room. Alright, username cannot be blind. Okay, it's good. Now I say hey. Of course, one more trick. If you're really lazy with the who knows how to prevent it, you can actually add one more HTML5 quiet too. Then here now you cannot submit. Okay, so let's say hello. What is my name? Bob. Enter. Great. Save, right? How do we do it? We have data now, so I no longer delete these guys, and I'm just gonna display messages.each do message. Whoops. Looks fine, right? In here will be message.body. Oh, I need to display. Oh no, so message.username like this, right? So maybe put it in a span as well, and then in here, actually in username, I change it to strong, and then up here I use that trick, display flexbox, justify space between. Don't worry if you don't. And then messages. What is messages? I need to load it. Show, right? What is messages, guys? Room dot. Alright. What is this thing? Undefined each messages. Huh?
I think the message.
What is okay? Let's look at this guy. Messages.
It's new man.
Why is it new? What is my room? Room dot messages. It's an array. Oh, it's just this thing is reloaded in a stupid way. Okay, hello here. All right, go back to show. You will get this code. Let's style a little bit here. Down here, margin bottom. Let's say put 3. See, okay, it's a little nicer. And what's up? This is now Adam. Hey, why is it not styled to the end? Uh-oh. Not sure what's going on there. These guys have to be blocked. So did I think the list group item thing is messing with me again. Because they're not okay. Okay. Totally fail. justifies content. All right, so where's my bootstrap?
You have an unclosed tag on there.
So you can learn the Flexbox utilities with your diff. You can change it to deflex there, and then if you have items you want to justify, like what I need is two guys at the end. Justify space, not content, not space. Right. So content.
Your parent div isn't closed. Or rather, the opening div tag doesn't close.
Wait, where? Oh, this one. Okay, almost justify content between this here. Just you see, if I this similar to this line here. Deflex, justify content between. It's a bit weird. All right. Let's use bootstrap regular, and then there's I think. Where's my badge? Where's my username? It's hidden. So silly. Primary, right? You can change it to like that, and then you can also tell it to float right if you want. Why is it not floating right? Uh-oh. That's kind of weird. List group item down here. This guy's left. This guy is right. That's kind of strange. I never have to worry about this. It's okay. We just keep this. It's not as important. You guys can. Let's say this is my username. You can put it at the front, I guess. Make it a little nicer. And why are we having this thing down here so big? Why is this one so big? Margin bottom 3 and it's already not, it's violating. List group. Oh, I'm not closing properly. This one. Oh, I've been closing it wrong the whole time. Okay, and then you can add, notice you may need a little space. It's kind of strange if you need a space after this. The best, you might have to set a margin as well. So in this case, I say, maybe margin right, 1. All right, let's continue. So you may wonder, how do we add JavaScript to this? Yeah? What, if you have JavaScript, what would you like to do? Huh? Okay, what do you want to do to this? Right now I have a chat function. It's nice. What else?
Make a display like immediately.
Without reloading.
Yeah. Without reloading. And it should.
Okay.
Should show you messages.
Right, so think about, without JavaScript, life is very hard because I have another person over here, and then over here I say, hey, this is A, and then down here I say, yo, this is B, right, and then over here, I want to reply, right, you do this. Have you seen the movie Social Network, The Social Network? Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg at the end, hit refresh, because, back then the internet did not reload by itself yet. Okay, one thing we should do is to before we get to that, I'll show you the form, nested form thing. I want people to log into a room and then we remember the username. Okay, and then we take a break. So go to index. Down here, think about if I create a room, maybe I can send the first message. Yeah, a room has many messages. So in this case, in this home in here, I say rooms dot messages dot build. It create one empty message, right, inside this. Okay. All right. So let's go to home page. All right. So rooms, not this one. Oh, I need to create a room. So how do we do it? Okay, let's go to the view. In this, there's a room new here. So I change this to room. Okay, and it's gonna complain because it's nil. So now I have room is room.new. That's fine, right? And then room.messages.build. So I have this room, and then let's create a room. In this room, I'm gonna say enter your first. So let's put it in another card block. Let's put it outside here, and then I have another card. Enter your first message, something like that. Enter username and first message. I don't know. First message. Okay, so how do we do it? We have to create both a room and a message. Who here used Fields4 before? So I told you guys in the homework, if you ask Fields4, alright, it's a bit crazy. So there's Fields4. If you pass in a key, imagine if I say, oh, I have this little field called Fields4. Now I also put it under F, Fields4 message. Okay, and do. This is field4, so it's like, let's say FF. And in here, say F dot text field username. So what happens to this form? FF. Wow, this is alright. So maybe sometimes it's easier to just change it to field.
Yes.
Okay. And you see there's this field, and if you inspect it, you see this room message username. That's the field. The power of field. So when you submit, it's under params room and then field message and then username. If you submit, it's a you know, this one. Right? Look at the log. Under this log here, you see under this there's a message. Under message it's a hash, username, blah, right? And then of course it say this is not permitted. Okay, so we can do it manually. I just submit that message. So in my messages controller, where is the code, guys? It submit to room, right? So room's controller. Down here, remember I only permit this much. Yeah, I can say save the room and then let's create a message if needed. Okay, so what do I check? If params room message, right? If this exists, then you do room.messages.build, or you can just do create immediately, and then you pass in the username thing is like params room message username. Does that make sense? After you can save the room, then you can parse this room and then message, and then you can go into this 3 level. That's how you do it normally, manually. It's okay, just think like, what do I need to do? Right? But we can do better than this. Rails provide a way that's called room. Under here you say accept nested attributes for messages. So what happened when you do this, and in the and in the form, instead of field for, this is a symbol. You pass in an object like that. Well, what is it? You pass in, I have many messages, so you pass, let's say, you can pass in like this. You can pass in an object. Let's see, fields for, alright, I'll pass this in. I'll show you guys. It's a bit crazy. So use this to inspect. You see this one? Messages attributes. Most people don't know this. Like, what? Shouldn't be messages? It should be messages, right? Because I did fields for colon messages. I didn't do fields for colon messages attribute. Who knows why? No? If I keep this and I comment this line out and I try this again, messages. So if you keep this, then in the controller you can still do params. How do you get into this value submitted? Params room messages, right? And then you do it yourself. You can create multiple like ticket event types, but under event. First, you guys understand how these three things lead to the hash structure, right? It's just one small magic. When you do fields for something, Rails would check whether this messages is a method. Like, do I have room.messages? Do I have room.messages? This is a bit crazy. So look at this. It has, because it has this room.messages method, and then you say accept nested. It convert all the fields for thing into messages underscore attributes. Right? That's only one magic. Let's look at another one. All right. Let's look at this again. Room messages. Make sense? If I do one more thing in the controller, I do this a few times. In the view, it will know that you have all this empty thing. So this line is the same as this, okay? Same as room.messages.each do f and inside, not f, message, right? And then inside you do remember the partial, it's the same magic. So inside here you have f.fields for, and then message. It's like that. But because there's a magic message to messages, so it's like, and then all of them it just do that over all your elements. Okay? So this one is, it detects that room.messages is an array, so it will do more than one. So just don't be don't be too surprised. So I only create one message here. Okay? So I always only have one. So back in here I only have one. Yeah? If you already have existing messages in that room, it will display everything. Then you can edit them and submit. That's quite nice. Okay, so how can I create a room now? Remember, messages, attributes. The first message, and I say create. You will see this error, unpermitted. Yeah? How do you handle that? Go to rooms controller. Down here, you want to permit messages, attributes. But that's not enough. Messages, attributes, it only permit, if it's a value, then it's okay. But it's not a value, right? It's a hash. Then you have to pass in, hey, what do you want to accept inside that hash? What do you want? Username and body, right? Yeah. So then when you have that, when you submit to this room.save, if you have messages attributes, it will save all the messages for you. It will fail if your messages are invalid. Yeah. So go back to the room here. I will need to enter both text field here, username, and then what's that, body, and then maybe here I can say placeholder is your say hello in that room, or your first message. Okay. In here will be placeholder username. Okay. Let's see, something like this. Right? I give up on making it pretty. So let's say it's a room now. Let's say it's a Ruby room. Name is Harley, and what's up, guys? Right? Enter. Message: this room must exist. What kind of error is that? Okay, who can help? Messages room must exist. Oh, wait, no, it's sort of, okay, it's a bit tricky now. I'm not sure, maybe we'll change things a little bit. So the reason it happens is that a room has many messages, right? And then when you try to save a room, it now saves messages first. But to save messages, then it validates you have a room first. So how can you make it work? Crap. So I mean, one easy way is to disable the. I don't like that. Disable this. True. Then it will not validate message when you save the room. Yeah. So for example, let's say room Ruby, and then hello, what's up? Enter. Oh, it's still submitting. Because I'm looking at the log. So, all right. So it go into the room and it created the object. So now you know how to build a form with nested attribute using fields for, right? You can read more. This is common if you create a sign up form and then you have your own sign up form and then you have a company field and you have to create a company model record, right? I'm not sure why the accept nested thing now does that. Funny, sometimes we'll change things a bit, and there must be a way to allow saving it without validating. Okay, but let's do that. Yeah, let's keep it for now. I could say, hey, when you save, don't check this room must exist, but just make sure there's a message.room. So I can just say presence true. But you don't check by ID, you just check the room attribute. Because if I have a room and then the room will save. So I think that still work. Okay, so one more thing let's do. After you go into the room, it should always be God. That's not good. So let's keep that for now. So iOS. Okay, I need to do one more thing. Save this user in the session. So let's do that before you guys take a break. How do we do it? Create a new room here. And then if, room.messages.first, if I have a message, yeah, I set it in the session. Okay. And then in my controller, I can just do maybe define current user, what session username, and then in the form now, you can even do what's that messages? No, room show, right? In here, you can set the default value. So message.new, you can actually say username is current user. Yeah, but for this to work in the view, you have to make a helper for it, right? Helper method current user. Okay, why is it still complaining? Why is it not here? Uh-oh. Oh, because I didn't create it first, so I'm going to do it one more time. So I'm going to go into Android room. Alright, Bob. Go in here, and this is Bob. So now you could, of course, you can remove this field, or you know, always set it in your controller. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break with your drinks, and we come back with the JavaScript stuff in this room. Now that we have users, right, in their separate browser session, you cannot change your username anymore after you log in. Until you log out, you just clear the user session.